have more degrees than a thermometer.
When you're engaged,
stands for their interests.
There's a lot of
Your
planning.
daughters will be here and you'll
I believe in mental health.
Sure that we have mental
We travel together on the path to intentional leadership, one conversation at a time. We go down a new road of insight with an expert guest who knows what it takes to navigate the opportunities and challenges of leadership. Why? Because they've already been there. So grab your compass and whatever else you need, and let's set out, leading the way.
Hello and welcome back to Leading the Way, where we have a very special episode today. We come back to you every month with someone who has led the way before us. And this month, I am talking to three wonderful ladies who are part of the Entrepreneur Exchange Mastermind. And we met together in the mastermind, had lots of great conversations, and they come from lots of different directions. So I'm going to have them introduce themselves, and we are here to learn about the power of community. So I'm going to start with Anita. Anita, welcome, and tell us about yourself.
Thank you. Well, first and foremost, I'm a single mom of two daughters, two grown daughters that I adopted from Guatemala as infants. And I've been a singing coach for over 30 years, close to 35 years. I bridged that over to public speaking and doing workshops for that. Let's see, what else? Oh, I'm a realtor. I entertain still. And what else? I don't know. That's me in a nutshell.
That's it.
I'm trying also to build a dog park at an indoor dog park. And I'm doing all this at the age of 75. So I want to instill in you that it's never too late to chase a dream.
I love it. Okay, ladies, I don't know if you can top that off. That's amazing.
Of course, come on.
That's an amazing message and beautiful background that we're going to talk about a lot about what you do, because there's a lot of skill in there that's embedded that we all need. So thank you for sharing that. Alina, I'm going to come back to you. Tell us about yourself.
Oh, me? Hi.
Yes.
Hello, everyone. My name is Lynn Nguyen. I am the owner and founder of the Ypsilanti Financial Education Center. I am a mom of two, a 5 and soon to be 7-year-old boys, and a loving husband. We live here in Ann Arbor, Ypsilanti. I came here to the Midwest, a Floridian originally, and kind of never left the Midwest. Really grew to like the 4 seasons. But the work I do now is really focused on helping families become more financially educated, empowering them with education as well as financial tools that can help families build true long-lasting wealth and legacy building, right? And specifically doing with a lens of compassion and care, as I find that sometimes that's missing in the financial industry, as well as having a background in diversity education as a university educator for a decade at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor. I really integrate kind of intercultural effectiveness in how I serve and plan for families, understanding that everyone has kind of a variety of things they go through, right? So we have to engage that with compassion and understanding, and a heart really for service, that they were looking to create opportunities for families to really have strong financial futures, because I think everyone can, right? With the right education support and someone on their side, I believe everyone has the capacity to achieve the financial goals that they want. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And then I'm going to come back to you with a lot of questions too on this, because there's almost somewhat of a misconception about people in finance and the way that they represent themselves. So I'm going to come back to you on this. Let's talk to Lisa. Lisa, welcome. Tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Lisa Rentschler. I am the proud mom of Connor, who is 24 and a half. And Connor has autism. He was officially diagnosed at 2.5. And I'm married to my wonderful husband, Greg. And we just did 27 years, 28.
Congrats.
So it's definitely on the later 20 side. And as you can see from the background, I am at one of our locations. I founded a nonprofit resale shop. This is our original location in Saline, Michigan, right off of Michigan Avenue. And we just celebrated 7 years on November 19th. So very exciting, hard to believe it's been 7 years already. And our second location, we just opened up a year ago, August, and it's in Ypsilanti, right off of Packard and Carpenter. And our mission is to employ individuals who have disabilities. So at this point in time, over 50% of our staff at both locations would identify under the Americans with Disability Act.
Wow, wow, amazing. It's amazing. And in all three of you, you know, the way you talked about the things that you do all have this component of service to the community in it. And I love that. And this was not planned. It's amazing. And I want to actually start with you, Lisa, because you just celebrated 7 years of doing community service. I'm going to call it community service because that's what it is. How has your experience been? I mean, I know there's a lot of people, a lot of audience that watch this Leading the Way podcast. Either are entrepreneurs or you know, small business owners or people who are looking to maybe open up a business or people who are looking to be inspired. And it takes a lot of gut to start a business, and then it takes even more to, you know, take the direction that you took and build what you've built. Tell us a little bit about your experience and how it's been for you.
It definitely took a big leap of faith. When Connor was in 10th grade, between 10th and 11th grade, the outside agencies, Michigan Rehabilitation Services and Community Mental Health, come into Connor's or any individual's IEP, which is an individualized education plan. And because at that point in time, you want to start transitioning out of the high school setting. And so the community services come in and let us know what is available for Connor. So when MRS came in, and at the end of the meeting, she said, okay, we got a job for Connor this summer. He's going to work at the Belleville Farm Council grounds. He's going to be doing light maintenance, painting, and planting flowers. And we were sitting in Saline High School. We have a farm council grounds 2 miles from where we were sitting. So my first question was, why aren't we at the Washtenaw Farm Council grounds? And they said, oh, well, we had a connection, so it was easy. I'm like, okay. But this isn't a good fit for Connor. He's petrified of animals and flying bugs. And the representative said, well, you know, kids do much better when they're not around their parents. And my husband's sitting next to me and he starts rubbing my leg. Like, it's all right. And so I said, well, I understand that. However, this isn't a good fit for Connor. For his first job, I want him to be successful and like it so that he would like to get another job. And then she said to me, well, he's going to have to pay his dues just like everybody else does. And my husband's hand went on my leg to keep me in my seat. And so then I did the deep breath and said, Connor's job this summer will be that he's taking a summer class, which he has done for 9th and 10th grade. So he's going to continue to do this. Thank you for coming in. And she left. And then I asked Connor's case manager if that was the only person at MRS who we could work with. And she said yes. And I said, well, please don't invite her back. So that's when we started thinking about, okay, what are we going to do in our own community that will benefit Connor, and then others like Connor who may need accommodations at a job, who may need a job coach at a job. And so we started throwing a couple other ideas around. And then the resale shop location that we're in right now in Saline came available in September of 2019. No, 2018, November 2018. And So I ran up here and chatted with the people who were getting ready to close. And I went to the high school. I went to the superintendent and to the special ed director and said, hey, can we do this as a young adult program? I'll help run it. The proceeds will go to the young adult program or the special ed department at Saline, and the young adults will work and run it. And then he said, oh, it's a great idea, but we'll have to talk about it in June, which is when they do the school budget. So I'm like, yeah, it'll be gone. So then I went to our pastor and our community mission lady and said, hey, can we do this as a special needs program? It'll be a local mission for our church. And Pastor Ken said, well, you know, it's a great idea, but we're just getting ready to ask our members for a building fund, to donate to a building fund, because we were expanding or getting ready to expand. So then I went to my husband and I said, hey, honey, can we do this? And he's like, what? Are you crazy? Weren't we just talking about me retiring in a couple years? And I'm like, yeah, and now you'll have something to do. Yeah, he didn't think that was so funny. And so then we talked about it. We prayed about it. We looked at the financial information that the previous resale shop had, and we took a leap of faith and officially opened our doors November 19th, 2018. And I didn't need anything else to do. I wasn't looking for something to do. I was busy enough either. I had kids ask me if I was a teacher at the school because I was there so often volunteering. And then, volunteering at church. And it was Connor's senior year. And so I didn't really need anything to do. But here we are, opened our doors and
your second location. Wow.
Yeah.
What amazing. Thank you for sharing that, Lisa. I'm going to jump to you, Lynn, and kind of ask you the same thing and how you started on your journey and why. I'm going to go back to my question that I was, talking about earlier is and how a lot of people view people in finance in general as, maybe they're not the compassionate individuals. Maybe the word finance is rigid. And maybe because we all don't know it and are afraid of it. I don't know. You tell me. How did you get in that, and how are you helping doing what you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. So about a little over 5 years ago, I had this time stepped out of, took a, I guess, an early retirement from the University of Michigan. I was a higher ed professional for a decade, and I took a step out to really become a mom. And I had 2 boys during that process. And when my second son turned about 4.5 months, I had this kind of calling to serve again. Like, honestly, I was like, okay, I'm ready. I kind of decompressed and let go of all the trauma and drama of my university days. Finally had kind of regained myself. So I actually started looking for a job. I met with a CEO of this intercultural communication institute. And he's like, yeah, we'd love to hire you. And I was like, I don't know. It didn't feel right. Right. And so then I was like, but it was pretty cool. I felt proud. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I'm still hireable. Like I'm still, have something to offer and to give, right? Because I really was interested in intercultural communication stuff. But it didn't feel like the right job. But I felt proud of myself that I got an appointment with the CEO of this big company. And so then I was like, okay, well, what do I want to do? And so I serendipitously checked a Facebook message from the son of a really good friend of one of my employees. She was my administrative assistant when I was the director at the University of Michigan. And her son made a post around financial literacy. And I was like, what is this person doing? So it kind of intrigued me because I, at this time, was a mom of 2. And I had started to have conversations about, okay, well, I'm not ready to retire. Right? Everyone joked when I left the university that I was retiring, but I was 35, so I was not ready to retire. And I was really thinking about how do I create financial security for my family right now that I want to return to the workforce, but really with the intention of being more focused on what it is I wanted to do and how do I create sustained financial security for my family. And some of those conversations involved estate planning, starting to save for my son's college, and then really planning for retirement. And at the time, I actually didn't know. I didn't have all the pieces. I'm like, I have no idea where to start. And so as a result, I just Googled and spent months finding things, and yet I did nothing. I did absolutely nothing. I was like, I didn't know what the right step to take was. And then this kind of post came along, and then it introduced me to a network of educators, financial educators, whose mission was to help families build financial security and financial wealth. And I was like, what is this? And then I realized that the organization was primarily made of a whole group of communities of color, immigrant communities who had this conversation in the financial industry, whose mission was to create financial professionals who really looked like the communities that we serve, right? The owner was a Vietnamese immigrant, kind of just like my family. So there was some resonance of the leadership of the organization, but also this really big mission that I reflected on and said, wow, what if my mom and dad, who were immigrants to this country, had some of the knowledge in the financial industry to set up their wealth properly. And my mom, fast forward, is now 74. While we have been very good, right, very blessed, made a lot of money over the years, had successful businesses, her long-term trajectory for financial wealth wasn't built, right? So she didn't put anything in investments. Now she's retired and really just living off of whatever income comes from the few properties that we've been able to accrue over the years. But even that, and then when I'm in the industry learning about my mom's long-term care needs, all of these things, and then when my dad passed about a decade ago, we had nothing for my mom, right? We spent $15,000 burying my dad, and I was blessed enough at the time to have, older siblings who could cover these bills. But I had a reflection going, whoa, if dad had passed and I was the only child, how could I pay a $15,000 bill? I didn't have it. Right. So those are some of my early reflections of finance and how immigrants and certain people who don't have access to an industry that never really welcomed us. So a little bit of that. And then I reflected on my own experience now as an educated woman in my 30s, leaving the institution of the university mission, going to a representative of a big institution who had a lot of my retirement money. I left that conversation. This person, I'm going to tell his identity because it's relevant. This person is what we is kind of traditional in the industry, mid 30s, 40s, 50s, something like that, white, and did not give me any education. I went in going, well, what are my options with all the money that I have saved for retirement? I didn't get any education. They're like, lady, you tell me what you want. And I was like, oh, I don't know. What should I do with it? And so I actually left feeling very ashamed. I never came back to this advisor. And again, he has a lot of my money still, actually. And I just felt very disempowered. And that was just a couple years after I had left the university. And so when I came upon this industry, I go, whoa, I can learn this. I can kind of shift the narrative and not be that person who made me, an educated woman, feel really undereducated, right? Because I wasn't empowered enough to kind of seek my own knowledge around finance. And I wasn't prepared for a conversation in a space that wasn't really willing to engage with me, right? And I thought that was wrong. I came, I was like, well, that kind of feels crappy, right? And since I've been in the industry for 5 years now, I have seen and heard that story just like my own over and over again. Very educated women who are fearful of talking about their finances, who feel like they don't want to be looked at, as stupid, all of these things. And yet we know financially, women are actually in better positions to make financial decisions. We make better decisions. We invest better. At least that's how it's supposed to be. But the narrative tells us otherwise. And so there's a lot of fearful behaviors around how we act with our finances as a result of what the common narrative is. So in my work to educate, it really is first creating a space for people to feel okay with wherever they come to the conversation. So like I always share, even when I left the university, I had a successful job. I thought I left with less than $1,000 in my bank account. How did that happen with a 10-year career, right? I did have, like I said, I had some money in a retirement account. Fortunately, I was smart enough to say, hey, just invest and just keep putting money in and auto deduct from your paycheck, right? So I knew that much, but I had less than $1,000, quote unquote, to my name. And so reflecting on that kind of made me feel ways. And so then as I start to interact with clients that I start to take on, I started often with the space of non-judgment and saying, hey, you are welcome here. There is no judgment here. My hope is to come alongside you in this journey. I want to help you get educated. And then from there, we can talk about what could empowerment look like. So you can start to shift and make small changes towards the goals that you have for yourself. Wherever your journey is now, you just have to take one step further, right? And so I started kind of integrating the way in which I approach individuals in diversity work because it's so relevant, right? Everyone comes with all these experiences, all these identities, right? And so I discovered that my background, even shifting careers, was to a huge advantage, right? Because any line of work with people, you have to recognize all the layers in which they engage with you. And so again, that's kind of how I do the work now. And I'm proud and excited about it because I think there's a lot of people to still serve who aren't being represented, who aren't being heard, and who aren't, don't even like, so I think now I step on, they're like, oh, whoa, like, Lynn will chat with me, just, with no judgment, and will kind of show compassion and help me kind of one step at a time.
And I think that's probably have been my first impression from talking to you when we first met, is that you're in finance, but I don't get that feeling of, oh God, I'm going to talk to someone and they're going to use all this jargon that I don't understand just to rope me into a program. But that's not what I got from you. And
Yeah.
I think that's really, really, really important for people to have this feeling from the, person providing that service, is that the non-judgment, and that they can
Yes.
communicate on a human level. Thank you
Yeah.
for doing that.
Yes. And I think with a culturally sensitive approach, right? Because we know certain communities have been left out of the wealth building game, right? When we talk about all the systems of injustice that exist in our current American society and economy, I think you have to take that into consideration. And how do you do that, right? Is not an easy task at times, but possible when we can, develop some of those skills or desire to learn from others. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that. And Anita, tell us about your journey. You have such a diverse background of you started out as a singing coach, and you're working public speaking, helping people with public speaking. From that, how did that change come about? What made you take the leap of faith?
Oh, well, firstly, I need to contact Lynn because I can totally identify when my father passed away. I didn't inherit a whole lot of money, but I sat on that money for years doing nothing with it because I was paralyzed with fear. So I really need to talk to you. But and I forgot to mention that I'm a master's degree social worker, and and speaking of community and serving, I was serving for Maple Grove, and we were doing. I was involved with a program where we were helping families that had substance abuse issues in the family. And I was telling someone that I had just graduated with my master's degree and I didn't know what to do. And somebody way, way, way across the room heard me and said, oh, you need to come to my school, and we're looking for a social worker. And what that was is an alternative education high school. And I said, oh, I don't think I'm qualified. But she said, oh, go talk to the lady anyway. So I went and I spent 20 years in an alternative education high school where kids get a bad rap of, oh, those kids, those delinquents. But really and truly, those kids are heroes because they've come from all kinds of traumatic and sometimes horrendous situations, and they say, no, I still want my education. And I think those kids are heroes, and I love working with them. And even my cousin, who's been in education for years and years, said, oh, Anita, you need to go someplace else. You could be making more money. I said, I'm not leaving my kids. So, and some of those days were 12 and 14-hour days. So I felt the need to serve that population, and I felt like they enriched my life. There was so much that I learned from their strength and everything about them. So and we developed like a food bank for the community. We developed an angel tree for Christmas gifts. We developed a senior prom where they had actual elderly people come to a prom with these kids because there's a coming together of what they can share with each other. So those kids did all kinds of wonderful things for the community. So there was no like, oh, those kids, about it. So, but and I retired from there, but I can't they can't get rid of me. I'm still substitute teaching. And what I see is the need for an inner locus of control and understanding and appreciating their gifts. And it's not taught in school. They're not given that awareness and how to use their gifts and how to discover their gifts. So I wanted to take, the singing to public speaking so that people could use their voice, find their voice, and become everything they were meant to become. So I'm also working with, I want to work with younger people, but even older people who, are struggling to, why am I not getting promoted? Why am I struggling with this or that? Or why am I being overlooked? Why aren't people hearing me, understanding me? So I wanted to give people the opportunity to unearth their natural gifts in the superpower of their voice and their authentic personalities to kick up the level of their lives in so many ways. So that's what I want to do now. That's my calling. And I was an actress for a long time. For the first 25 years of my life, I was an actress, and I had to walk away from it because of the terror of the stage fright. And I want to give people the gift of the freedom from stage fright and not having them trip themselves up and be in their own way. So that's my calling is let's dig up the gifts, use them. Let's harness that terror from being terror to just, managed hysteria. So we can
Manage.
and do some, have people discover their gifts and be all that they want to be and not have to listen to terror take the reins.
What was that last part? I think I talked and I couldn't hear you.
Not have terror take the reins, that they take the reins themselves. They harness that fear and ride it out,
That is
So
beautiful.
that's my calling.
That is beautiful. I was actually just talking to someone yesterday. Someone called asking about public speaking classes because of just that. And this individual he was telling me he holds multiple bachelor's and master's degrees and has a lot of experience and background in the work he does. But the terror that you're describing, this is what he was telling me. He's passionate about taking his vision and spreading it across, but it's hard to actually do that without the skill and the misconception. And I'm going to stick with you for a little bit here, Anita. The misconception about public speaking is that and confidence is that it's something you're born with. And some people, if you're an extrovert, you have this. If you're an introvert, you don't. But the good news is that it's a skill that everyone can actually learn and use. What has your experience been with that?
Well, it's to me, it's not about confidence. It's about the commitment to the value of your message. And if you focus on your message rather than your terror, then you start to feel competent. So to me, it's commitment, competence, and then out of that comes confidence. You can't tell somebody, oh, well, you just need more confidence. Well, that's like grabbing at a cloud. If you don't have confidence in the first place, how can you get more of that? So it's redirecting the focus to the value of the message that you're trying to convey. And what are you trying to evoke in people? And the engagement that you want to have, and the creativity that you're creating, and the synergistic effect of sharing ideas rather than concentrate on, oh, what if my message isn't good? What if they see I'm not authority? What if, well, what if you just concentrate on the value of what you're offering, because somebody needs that. They need that information. You can enrich lives by just focusing on the value of your message rather than it's about, I'm sorry, but it's not about you. It's about your message. And that's what people have to get over. Oh, what if I mess up? What if I forget? Well, what? I- Take the I out of there and just go for the message of value of what you're trying to give them so you can improve something about their lives.
I love that. I love that. I don't know who keeps, I think it was John Maxwell that keeps saying it's not about you, it's about your audience. So get yourself out of that equation and focus on the audience that you serve. And it really, I think it applies to everything that we do. It's not just about, getting yourself used to public speaking or serving the community. I think everything, the root of everything that we do is about the others that we serve and not about us. And I just love that. I love that he keeps repeating that and saying that. And it's so funny because listening to all of you talk, it looks like all four of us have some connection and background to education. And, and I think I don't even know if we've even talked about this in our mastermind before. It's so funny that it's all coming out right now. But the common themes that I've been listening to you ladies talk about is risk taking from each of you. There's each of you have taken a risk. Each of you has this wonderful message of service and not message, but also a spirit of service. And this is what led you to do what you're doing. And then, of course, empowerment. Everything that you're doing today has started from a need or a want or whatever, a wish, a dream to empower somebody else, to empower your community, to empower the people that you're working with. And I just love that. I think this should be the spirit of what we all do. And going back to that, I mean, I'm going to come back to Lisa here. It's been 7 years. 7 years is a long time to do this and to serve, a population of people who are struggling. I mean, there is the struggle of having a disability, but there's also the struggle of being in a community that doesn't understand you, in a community that maybe you have a hard time finding a job, communicating. What has it been like for you, and how where have you found support?
I've found support through other friends that I have. My close group of girlfriends, they've been here from the very beginning. They were on their hands and knees at the very beginning, cleaning and vacuuming and, putting new items out. And also through the community that I have with other parents or caregivers who have a loved one who has a disability. So when we first opened, I had, friends in the disability area, and they're like, what in the heck are you doing? And so, I just, reach out when I need to, and, just to get a break sometimes, and either go out to dinner, go to a movie, something like that. Because it's a lot of work, and it's 97% joy. And so, there's luckily it's only 3% of the really hard things. And that it's not something that I look forward to ever having to, to let somebody go, or to approach a customer who may be taking off tags or stuff like that. So, but the joy I get out of the employees here who didn't know each other before they started, but now they're they're best friends. They do social activities together. They encourage each other. One of our male employees, he was the first one to get his license, his driver's license. And then another gal did. And then another gal did. And now there's a fourth male. He doesn't work here, but he is the boyfriend of a girl that works here. And they're encouraging him to get his driver's license. And, you know, it's going to take extra time, but, you know, that's one of the best things out of the store is, you know, just those relationships.
That is beautiful. That is the power of community. And I was listening to I do not recall his name. I love his podcast. He was talking about gratitude. And you just right there, you just demonstrated what I'm about to say. What he was saying is that gratitude, the feeling of gratitude is a disruptor. And what it disrupts is it disrupts your amygdala, part of the brain that controls fear. And when it disrupts that with the amygdala, it lets you focus on more gratitude, and it lets you focus on more positive things in your life, and it makes you look for those things rather than focus on, you know, the teeny tiny things. And that's exactly what you said. 3% are the ones that, you know, as part of the job that, you know, is maybe a struggle, but 97 is that gratitude that you feel, and that's the power of service.
Yeah.
It's beautiful and very well said.
Can I add to that, Nagam? I think on the conversation of gratitude, I heard that in our brains, we can't hold the idea of gratitude and anxiety at the same time, right? And so if we can
Bingo.
generate a grateful heart,
Yes.
then the anxiety can't, you know, we can't coexist. And so I thought about that sometimes even some of the work I do with clients, it's how do we focus on what is going well, right? Like where, you know, like for a young person who maybe doesn't have rent right now because they live with their parents, I go, let's kind of lean into that, being that grateful for that. And then let's kind of look at the other areas we can work on, right? And so, yeah, I really love that, right? This idea that gratitude and anxiety can't coexist, right? And we can choose which one, right? And so if we lean into one, the other can kind of get snuffed out, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for that addition, because I was going to come back to you, Lynn. How did you back to the idea of finding support? How do you know where did your every one of us needs that, you know, needs the support to start, needs the support to keep going. It could, you know, sometimes be non-material support. Could you just, you know, I just need to talk to somebody about this crazy idea that I have, you know. What has been your experience with that?
Yeah, I think for me, I love that the conversations around community building. I think that is innately what all of us as human nature is designed for, is to exist in community. And yet I think our world doesn't allow us to do that. I think I was very blessed to be part of a very vibrant community when I was at the university, right? And then I kind of got jolted away from community, right? I kind of went home and then I had no job. I was like now with a baby and pregnant. I'm like, oh no, I have no friends. Right? Because I had just left a 10-year career with no kind of support structure. And I realized how much community meant to me. And so I realized that no one would create that for me. So I had to seek it and create it. Fortunately, I'm a very extroverted person. I thrive in environments. I'm more lively. If you leave me at home all day, I'll probably be pretty bored. But the minute someone walks in the room, if Anita comes by or Lisa or Naga, I'm like, yay, you know, and then I'm all lively again. So I really thrive off of the energy of others. And so I realized that early on. And so I created always moments to create community, right? So I left the university, all my friends now were working the U many hours, no one would come visit me. So I would reach out and say, hey, offer them food and cook for them. I speak through food. Asian people show their love by food. And so know that I love you if I cook you anything. I do that for everything. I meet strangers and I say, hey, would you like food? I've met strangers that way. I've invited clients I have a funny story. One client I had met, we were just chatting, getting to know each other, and I learned they like food, and I invited them to my house. Somehow they came. All of their friends were like, "You're crazy. You're gonna go to a random lady's house to eat food?" And she was like, "Well, she seems genuine, honest. She wants to feed me, and why not?" Right? And now we have a nourishing client and a professional relationship and a friendship out of that because she trusted me enough. To kind of engage with me around this notion of building community, right? And so I think for me, that's always been a skill as well as a need. I just can't exist without community. And so when I became a business owner, or really, took a different path than a lot of my colleagues and my friends, there were some mixed people who I think supported me. Some didn't understand. They're like, "What do you mean? How can you be a higher education profession, move to finance? Like, that's so weird. There's no way you can do finance." Well, not do, but no, it feels weird, right? But as I got in it, and about a year in, I was like, no, actually, it is not weird. To help someone plan their retirement is actually what is this journey of helping individual achieve their dreams. How is that any different than the work I was doing at the university? Right? I didn't see a difference. I said, actually, it's actually one of the best things because we plan for a gazillion other things. I spent a year planning for a wedding, and yet no one walks alongside you to plan for your retirement. How is that? Right? And retirement is 20, 30 years plus. Right. And so then I thought about, financial planning became a part of helping someone create their dreams and their hopes. Right. And to do it at whatever point into their lifetime was awesome. Right. And so that for me kind of started to challenge people and going, no, actually, I don't think it is a shift. It's just a different lens. And then I think with the approach that we take as an organization, as myself, with the education, because without education, someone can't feel empowered, right, with the knowledge that they receive. And when you're not empowered, then you actually do take no action. Right. And so anything around wealth building has to require action, I believe. Right. And so, so community building was super important. And so as a solo entrepreneur, I was like, I need to find some people who understand the experience of being entrepreneurs. So for the last 3 years, I've been hard at networking. And again, I don't call it network. I think for me, it's just connecting and building friendships and building networks. Some become good friends. Some just be good referrals. Some just because I know them, right? Like Lisa was talking, and I remembered a friend I had met. I was, let me follow with her because she has a son who has autism. Maybe she doesn't know about your story yet. Maybe her son needs a job. Like, I don't know, right? And so the more people I meet, then I actually can lean into my other superpower is really connection. I have a good memory and I meet a lot of people. And so when I do that, then I'm blessed to kind of make connections. Like today I was at Brock, and there were charcuterie boards on sale. And I had met someone like maybe a year ago who is the business owner and does charcuterie board. This charcuterie board, like $25 board, was on sale for $4. And so I was like, oh, I got to text you. So I texted her. She said, oh my gosh, thank you. Because now she can do a whole new spread of her wood thingy, right, for a charcuterie board for under $10. Buying discount, and they were amazing. I bought myself some too, right? But this idea that I can make connections with people, because that, those small moments of joy, right, that kind of make us feel like we're connected, right? And so I intentionally build community by making sure that when someone surfaces in my mind, I follow up with them and just say, hey, I thought about you, and here's how I thought about you. It comes up all the time. Right now, I have 3 people just out of this conversation. And so it's just that moment and say, hey, Andrea, I think you should check out Lisa's store, right? Or, hey, this person, go buy the charcuterie board because now I got you a whole new spread, whatever that is. So I think building community is just bringing joy to your life, right? How fun is it to live by yourself? Nothing, no fun.
Agreed. And
and the same in business, right? Yeah, the same in business.
Yeah.
Way funner when we can have people we connect to and build connections and send each other, different directions for the things that we need. Because no one of us can serve everyone's needs, right? Now I know Nita. Now I know you. I know Lisa. So then we can actually get people the things that they need.
Absolutely. I think everything you said is beautiful. It's the power of connection. I love how you called networking as connection, because at the end of the day, we grow by helping each other. The people that you meet are not all going to be your clients for your business.
Right.
Some will be yours. Some, maybe refer them to somebody else, and that's the best way to do this.
Correct.
And the way you build community as a human being is the way you build community as business. And I don't know why people differentiate that.
Yeah.
It's a human, I think, nature to thing
Yeah.
to want to be around other people. So yeah, I absolutely love that. We all, that's the other thing too, as uh, Anita was talking, I felt like, okay, we all need that skill. It's not just, people who are wanting to get on stage to build their public speaking. We all need the financial services. You know what I'm saying? There's always a need for whatever we do. And we would know if we don't actually make that connection and find out or learn about each other.
Yeah.
And so each one of us can benefit from whatever we have to offer. And Anita, same question to you about how you have found support, because your journey started out also in education, serving, and then you kind of saw there's this big picture of need, and I feel this is a huge need. I mean, having people self-express is a need. A lot of problems, a lot of conflict I see in the community, personally, family wise, in business, is that the communication isn't there, and because we don't know how to express ourselves, we don't know how to talk to each other. So what this is a big thing that you're doing here, helping people out. But how has been your journey with shifting through doing what you do? What has been your experience with support? Where have you found support as a business owner?
Well, it's kind of like what Lynn was talking about, just reaching out for connections. I just constantly am looking for learning what people do and what direction can that take me. I recently joined a group called 1 Million Cups, and it's a business networking community in Ferndale, and I drive to the other side of the world to go, do it. So they've been very supportive. They're lovely people. There's some people who are very protective about what they know and they don't want to share it. But this particular community is very generous about sharing their knowledge and their expertise. So I've been very blessed that way. Just reaching out and reaching out. That's how I found you, by reaching out to see where can I gain experience, and then take it to the next level, which was doing the speaking with public speaking with those kids, and then meeting you, which meeting you was such a blessing. And I'm not kissing up, sorry, but I'm not kissing up to the host. But we're so excited about meeting you that driving an hour away to watch you do what you did just hooked me on your inspiration and your enthusiasm and just wanting to be connected to you. And so that's just by just constantly reaching out and exploring new options and making new connections. You just never know where it's going to lead you. And every time you think, oh, I don't want to be going to this place, why am I putting myself in this position? It's miraculous how you always end up meeting somebody else that blows things up in your world and says, gives you so much new options and energies that you never expected to find before you went out and sought it out. So.
And it's funny. I think all four of us met in different places. At the public speaking, Anita and I, and then Lisa, we met was given a workshop at the Washington Women's Exchange of Washington. I keep always.
That's where you met Lisa. Cool.
Yep, and then Lynn at the Fempreneur Summit, I did a panel on mindset, and I also had an exhibit there, and it was a lot of fun. Getting to know other people and talking to them and learning about what they did and making that connection. It's beautiful. And I think, it's even though our businesses are, we do different things. It doesn't matter. We build on each other's strengths. I think we build on each other for a lot of the things that we do. And I think Lynn put it very well. You know somebody to know them, not to think about, okay, what kind of revenue am I going to get out of this person?
Mhm.
And
Yep.
it's not always about that, right? And if it ends up being a financial gain for you, wonderful. But I think it starts out being a connection, and Anita, I watched the short video of you doing that workshop in 1 million cups. It was beautiful. Everyone was on their feet. Everyone was singing and waving, or I don't know what they were doing. It looked like a lot of fun. So if you've not watched it, I recommend you follow Anita.
Oh, yeah. Send it to me. I want to watch it. Sounds cool.
Yeah.
And it's been an hour, and we've been
I
talking
know. How did that happen?
every time, ladies. Every
Yeah.
time I have this podcast, we are digging deeper into the power of service. We're talking about leading the way for other people, and the hour just goes by so quickly. And I really feel like you should each have an hour to yourself and talk about what you do, because I think it's really important that the point of this podcast is so that others learn from these experiences and build on their own, because there's a lot of hesitation when it comes to risk taking, a lot of hesitation when it comes to stepping out and doing your thing, doing your seeing your dream live. And I think it's so important that they hear this message over and over and over and see the different perspectives that you each bring. And so I definitely think we should continue the conversation, but I would love to hear your final messages to people hearing you, people watching this maybe later on in replay. What is your final message to people? It doesn't have to be entrepreneurs or small business owners. It could be anybody. And I'm going to start with you, Lisa. What final message do you give? What has been your, what is one learning message that you want to leave everyone with?
I think after you've done all your research and it still looks like a good plan, take that leap of faith and just go for it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Just take action. Just act on it.
Yes.
Yeah. Awesome. And Lisa, I know that we have your Facebook account here for your company's new to you again, right?
Yes.
Yeah. This is the best place to connect with you.
Yes.
Awesome. Yes. So connect with Lisa. And you've got 2 locations. Remind everybody where your 2 locations are.
Our first original location is at 1311 East Michigan Avenue in Saline. If you've been to the Imagine Theater, we're in the same strip mall. And then our newest location is in Ypsilanti at 3140 Carpenter Road. And we are in the same strip mall as TJ Maxx, the Tile Shop, Kroger. We're on the opposite end of Kroger.
Awesome. Thank you for that. Yeah. And I've been saying I want to go visit, and it's like something happening and preventing me, but one day you'll see me there.
Oh, great. I hope I'm here.
I hope so too. Lynn, how about you?
Yeah, I was hoping you were there today. So I went to your storefront across, it was literally like 5 minutes from my house. I was
yeah,
greeted,
I'm at Saline.
it was awesome. Yeah, I heard you were in Selena. I spoke to one of your staff there, Deanna, and then there was a gentleman, a customer there who spoke very highly of their space. And he turned around at me because I was in line, and he's like, "You should check out the Celine one," And he loves you all. He says he donates, and he just speaks very highly of it. And so I had a great experience.
Awesome.
I bought 4 pair of boots that I didn't need to buy, but $10 Clarks. I couldn't say no. I could not say no. It was my day for boots. I was gonna buy it brand new, but then I walked in thinking about you every time I passed by, so I made sure I visited today, and I will be back for sure. I started a rewards for sure, but I think yeah, I love it. So and again, he said to go to Celine, so I'm going to Celine. You rest assured, I will be there soon. But I think for me, the message I want to leave is really this idea that you are not alone. I think is what I've discovered in many ways for my business, this idea in finance that you are not alone. Again, as someone who's blessed enough with 5 years of having clients and hear the same story over and over, it does tell me that there is some shared experience around what's going on with our finances. And everyone feels like they're alone, Feels like they're the only who doesn't know something, doesn't want whatever. So not just for business, but I believe that my mission is to let people know that they're not alone. And so that's why I think I posture the way I do when I meet strangers, because I think strangers don't become friends until you talk to them. I heard a really powerful message at a multicultural kind of graduation in high school, in college. And I think it resonated with me for so long. It talked about this idea. Someone was leading, one of those speeches. And he said, you don't know me. You don't talk to me because you don't know me. And you don't know me because you don't talk to me. I'm paraphrasing. He said it a little more eloquently, but this is how I've paraphrased it over the years. But I'm always reminded of that, right? This how true that statement is, right?
Yeah.
I can't build a community if I choose not to speak to the person right in front of me, right? And I won't know them until I speak with them, right? And so it's this back and forth that I think our society needs more. And I believe that's the message right now in this world is very true. I believe you're not alone. If you need me with the finances, you're not alone. If you need me as a friend, you're not alone, right? If you need me as the mom who just had a baby, you're not alone, right? So whatever that is, I think is very important to remind people. Yeah.
I love that. ipsyfinancial@gmail.com is where people can
Financial Education Center, and my email is ipsyfinancial@gmail.com.
Excellent. What a beautiful message. And it leads right into Anita, because this is what Anita does, helping people talk to each other. Anita, what's your final message?
I think my final message is kind of builds on what everybody else is saying, but I think it's decide, then leap. And decide that staying the same is not an option anymore. You got to decide, leap, and understand that the unknown becomes the known once you take the leap.
Yes.
So just leap and trust that the universe is going to catch you.
That's right.
It's going to catch you. You got to trust.
Wow. Beautifully, beautifully, beautifully said. And embracing transformation at yahoo.com is where you can connect with Anita. And such beautiful messages. And the time flew by. And thank you so much, ladies, for joining. Next month, we actually are taking a break. December, I don't have the podcast, but we come back with a new season in January. And I'm meeting with Tanisha Reed, Coach T. If you've ever heard her talk or seen her on Instagram, she is the social media mogul. And she is the person to go to if you have questions on social. So ladies, make sure you catch that episode when we come back in January. And, this is such a great episode to have right now to close this season. And it's before the new year. So if we're starting out 2026, let's start strong. Let's start with community in mind. Let's start with service in mind. Let's start with taking that leap of faith and just getting started. Watch us next month on Leading the Way. Thank you, ladies, for joining, and we'll see you next month.
I have more degrees
Happy
than a
Thanksgiving.
thermometer.
When you're engaged,
Stands for their interests. What do they like?
There's a lot of
Your
planning.
daughters will be behind you.
I believe in mental health.
Make sure that we have mental